Imagine you're cut off. No kitchen, no market, no second chances. All you have is whatever fits inside a small tin, a hard rectangle, or a sealed pouch that was designed to outlast you. For more than 200 years, armies, explorers, and governments have wrestled with the same brutal question. How do you keep a human body alive when the normal food supply simply disappears? Some of their answers were clever. Some were barely edible. A few were so unpleasant that even hungry men hesitated to put them in their mouths. Today we're ranking emergency rations from worst to best, not just by calories, but by what it actually felt like to depend on them when there was nothing else left. This is not a modern grocery review. This is the deeper history of survival food. You'll learn why hardtack earned its terrible reputation, why one chocolate bar was deliberately made to taste bad, how World War II rations split opinion among soldiers, and which designs finally moved closer to something a person could eat without dread. We'll move from the worst to the best with the real stories, the textures, the smells, and the quiet desperation behind each one. Emergency rations exist because supply lines fail. Ships are delayed by storms. Armies outrun their wagons. Expeditions get trapped by ice or distance. Cities prepare for disasters that may never come or may come without warning. The design goals have always been ruthless. Maximum calories, minimum weight, minimum space, and a shelf life measured in years instead of days. Flavor was almost always the last thing considered. That single priority explains nearly every entry on this ranking. When survival is the only goal, taste becomes a luxury the planners were willing to sacrifice. At the very bottom sits hardtack. Hardtack is almost insultingly simple. Flour, water, and sometimes a little salt, baked until it becomes as hard as wood. Civil War soldiers gave it bitter nicknames: sheet iron, tooth dullers, and worm castles. The last name was not a joke. When the biscuits absorbed moisture, weevils often moved in. Men still ate them. They knocked the insects out or ate them in the dark and tried not to think about it. The texture was the real punishment. Hardtack could crack teeth if bitten dry. Soldiers learned to smash it with rifle butts or soak it in coffee until it softened into a gray, pasty mass. The smell was flat and dusty. The taste was almost non-existent, just dry starch and the faint bitterness of age. It kept men alive. It also taught them that food could feel like an enemy. Just above hardtack sits the early iron ration and the World War II D-ration. The D-ration was a dense chocolate bar created by Hershey under strict military instructions. One official requirement was that it should taste only slightly better than a boiled potato. The logic was cold. If the bar tasted good, soldiers might eat their emergency supply too early. So the chocolate was made waxy, bitter, and deliberately unappealing. Men who tried it described a chalky, medicinal flavor that coated the mouth. Many carried the bars for weeks and only ate them when the alternative was going without anything at all. These early rations succeeded at one thing. They delivered calories when nothing else was available. They failed at everything that makes eating bearable. In the middle of the ranking sit the two most famous American field rations of the Second World War, the K-ration and the C-ration. The K-ration was a masterpiece of packaging. Small, light, and divided into breakfast, dinner, and supper boxes, it was designed for paratroopers and fast-moving troops who could not carry heavy cans. Inside each box was a can of meat or cheese, dense biscuits, a small candy or fruit bar, and a powdered beverage. On paper, it looked efficient. In practice, after 3 or 4 days, the monotony became crushing. The biscuits were dry. The meat was pasty.
The whole meal carried the faint metallic taste of the can and the cardboard box. Soldiers ate it because they had to, not because they wanted to.
The C-ration was heavier but more substantial. It came in cans and offered stews, hash, and meat and vegetable combinations. Many men preferred it to the K-ration simply because it felt closer to real food. Still, the experience was rarely pleasant. Opening a can of cold stew in a wet foxhole, scraping the contents out with a plastic spoon, and eating while the smell of the metal lingered, that was the daily reality. The food kept bodies functioning. It did not offer comfort. These middle-tier rations show the military learning in public. They had solved weight and shelf life. They had not yet solved the problem of making a person want to finish the meal. Higher on the list is pemmican. Pemmican was not invented in a laboratory. It came from indigenous peoples of the North American plains long before modern armies existed. Lean meat was dried, pounded into powder, mixed with melted fat, and sometimes combined with dried berries, then packed into rawhide bags. The result was extremely calorie-dense, resistant to spoilage, and portable over long distances. Fur traders and explorers adopted it because it worked. In pure survival terms, pemmican ranks high. It did not taste like a restaurant meal, but it did not feel like punishment either. The texture was dense and slightly greasy. The flavor was strong and meaty. Most importantly, people could eat it day after day without the same level of dread that hardtack produced. At the top of the historical ranking sit the modern solutions, the meal ready to eat, MRE, and the better commercial emergency bars that followed. MREs replaced heavy metal cans with flexible pouches. They introduced more variety, improved textures, and the ability to heat the food with a simple chemical heater. Soldiers still complain about them. The jokes are part of the tradition, but the gap between an MRE and a piece of Civil War hardtack is enormous. One is a difficult meal, the other was closer to a form of endurance. Modern emergency ration bars have also changed the logic. Some are now designed to be neutral or even mildly pleasant instead of deliberately unpleasant. The planners finally accepted a simple truth. If the food is too miserable, people may wait too long to eat it. When you step back and look at the full ranking, a clear pattern appears. The worst emergency rations treated human taste as an obstacle. The better ones treated it as a factor that could not be ignored forever. Hardtack and the bitter D-ration kept bodies moving while making the act of eating feel like a chore or a punishment. K-rations and C-rations improved logistics and calories, but still carried the great taste of compromise. Pemmican and later MREs showed that survival food could be effective without being actively hostile to the person who had to swallow it. Emergency rations are never about pleasure. They are about the narrow margin between lasting another day and not lasting at all. The next time you see a modern survival bar or an MRE pouch on a shelf, remember the long road that led to it. A road lined with broken teeth, waxy chocolate, cold cans, and the quiet knowledge that the food in your hand might be the only thing standing between you and empty days. If you found this ranking as fascinating and slightly unsettling as I did, subscribe to the Food Prestige and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment and tell me, which emergency ration would you least want to survive on? I read every comment. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.